So today we are going for a frequently asked question. And this question is, how often do you tell someone to work harder when they're not doing the things they need to do for their business to be effective? And I was asked this probably about 3 days ago by a team member, and she was a little frustrated by somebody in her team not doing the things that she felt they should be doing to move their business forward. So she's like, well, how often do you do that, Lucy? How often do you go back and tell somebody that they've got to work harder? Well, that's really quite a loaded question, because first of all, there is very much a difference between telling and asking. But also what we have to remember is, and let me know if you agree with me, this isn't it's their business. Their business isn't my business. It might affect my business, but it's not my business. They've come into this as an independent person to run their own business, right? So me telling somebody might work for a very small percentage of people, and I'll roll back on that a bit. Sometimes I've already had a conversation with somebody and they'll ask me to tell them to shift. They'll ask me to speak to them in a way that if they do stop doing things, and if I can see they've kind of pulled away and pulled back a bit, that they've asked me to have this conversation with them, which is in a way that they've asked me to do it, is to tell them to get off your backside and get working and do what you know you need to do, and they've asked me to do that. Generally, that is not how I roll. And I would suggest also that if you wouldn't like somebody doing that to you, then don't roll like that. Always, it comes back to, how would you like to be spoken to? Do you want somebody asking and finding out, or do you want somebody just to get on the phone to tell you what to do, to tell you get on and do it, and to stop messing around? As I say, there might be a very small percentage of people, possibly sort of 2 or 3%, that like that, but the rest of us probably will go, get out of here, I'm off. So probably not the best strategy. Anyway, hope you're doing well today. Let's go into thinking about some of the things that the reason why we wouldn't do that. So we've covered one already. The first one is that it's our own business. I came into this. I don't want to be told what to do. I want someone to share what I could do. I would like support around that. And I would like recognition when I do things that are good and are effective, but I don't want to be told what to do, because that, for me, and again, I don't know about you, but for me, that sends me in the opposite direction when somebody is telling me, this is what you should do, this is what you need to do, this is what you have to do. It just kind of puts my back up a bit. So it's not a good idea. So I always think about that and go, okay, well, if I'm going to speak to somebody, how would I like to be spoken to? So I've just jotted down a few notes down here. So if you see me looking down, that's the reason why. Thinking about there being also, when somebody comes into the business, it's often somebody that has been employed, right? So, and maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you were employed and this is your first inroads into having your own business and being self-employed. So there is a huge gap to start with. And sometimes we don't understand how much we have got to work on ourselves to put ourselves out there, to get uncomfortable, to move forward, to put the time in, to be consistent. All of those things that somebody who has already run their own business or has been doing this for some time already knows. You've got to put a lot of time into your own business to make it work. I used to look at it like This is more for somebody who was saying something was expensive to get started, or why would I have to pay to start my own business? And I'd say, well, listen, even if you're a window cleaner, you'd have to buy your own ladder, you'd have to buy your own window cleaning equipment, you've probably got to have a vehicle, a van. These days, you've got to have more equipment than in the olden days, because they have these long extended things and they go up to the top. You don't even need a ladder these days. It's the extension on the I don't even know what it's called, water thing that they use to clean windows. I don't know what it's called. Do you know what it's called? I don't. Anyway, so all of that is an investment in that person's business. So that's why when we get started in this, we've bought into our own business, and it is just that. But if you've been employed, now what? Right? So you need to have some parameters and you need to have an understanding. So that's kind of the second thing. Telling somebody that they've got to do it isn't effective. So what should we do instead? What can we do that is more effective? We can ask questions. And I go back to this over and over and over again. It's asking questions, asking good questions, asking something that's going to be effective. So I would like to give you 5 steps in the process of getting from this person I can see isn't working to make their business effective. And I know they want to, really. I think they want to. At least last time I spoke to them, they wanted to. That's why they came into the business. How can I get them from here, 5 questions, 5 steps, to over here where they are empowered to move forward again? Would you like to hear those? Let me know. Okay, I'm going to give them to you anyway. So the first one is set up a call time with them. Don't just call them randomly. Set up a call time. Be specific. Let them know why you're calling. You want to have a chat and find out where they're at with things. And it's absolutely fine wherever they are. You just want to find out. So that's the very first thing. Now, that might sound like well, of course I'm going to do that. But sometimes you call somebody out of the blue, they're not in the right space, they haven't thought about things, they're in the middle of something else. So it really is better to put that time in and schedule in a time that's right for both of you. The second thing is, once you've had that initial chat of, hi, how are you doing? How is life? La, la, la. And you've just reestablished that connection. So give yourself time to do that with that person. And then, the second thing is to literally ask that question. I'd love to find out where you're at within the business. How are you feeling about the business at the moment? How are things going? And then remember to stop, listen, zip this up, because that's what you're on here for. Questions and answers. This is what you want to find out. You're going to find out things that they're saying and you can jot them down. I always have a notebook and pen when I'm speaking with somebody on the phone. So I can jog my memory as to what they've said, but I remember that they've said it as well. So that would be the second thing. The next thing is, what do they want to achieve? So literally ask that. So team member, what do you want to achieve? Zip it up and listen. Find out what they want to achieve. Now remember, and I've heard lots of people do this, they'll ask a question and then they'll give 3 or 4 different answers to the question they've just given for the person that they've asked. Do you ever do that? It's like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Just zip it, ask the question and stop. Let them think about it and allow them space to answer. Don't be afraid of silence. Don't be afraid of that gap. The brain has to take it on board. Sometimes we have to think a lot more, which is why it's good to be specific when you set up the call to say, I want to find out where you're at with the business, because then they can have thought about it a little bit. But even so, it's thinking a process through. So allow that to happen without interruption. All right. I find that, again, if you go back to how somebody talks to you and talks with you, Does it drive you crazy when somebody jumps in when you're still thinking and doesn't allow you the time to think before you speak? If it does, then make sure that you're not the person that's doing that as well. So remember, it's kind of look in the mirror. What would you like? And then feed it back to the other person in the right way. Once they've told you that, so they've told you what they want to achieve, what would that mean to you if you did that? What would that mean to you if you achieved what you've just told me? Zip, right? Getting the idea. And then the fifth thing is, when are you going to start? And how are you going to start it? So when are you going to start and how are you going to start it? All right. So let's quickly go back through those 5 steps. Set up a specific call time that's good for both of you. Let them know that it's going to be about where they're at in the business. The second one is ask where they're at with the business. The third one is, what do you want to achieve? The fourth one is, what would that mean to you if you achieved it? You can think about this for yourself too, right? And then the fifth one, when are you going to get started with that and how? When are you going to get started with that and how? Now you've gathered all of that information, and I think of it like if you're a tailor, you would remeasure the person each time he came in for a new suit, right? So if I've got this suit on, if I've got this jacket on, and I had lost a stone, and I go to my tailor and I say, don't have a tailor. If I go to my tailor and say, I'd like another jacket, please, and he goes by the old measurements, then I'm still going to have a jacket that's going to be too big for me and it's going to be out here somewhere. If he remeasures me, now he's going to make me a jacket that fits and I feel good in it. So it's the same with our members. We need to do a bit of a remeasure, which is what we do with these 5 steps. And now we can work with them and in the size jacket that they have just told us that they now fit into. It's, if you can look at it in that way, I found that really helpful when somebody explained it like that to me years and years ago, and it was just something I took on board, one of those things that I remembered, and it's been useful in my business. So hopefully that's useful to you. That's our frequently asked question, hopefully answered today. If you want to go deeper into any of this, if you want to get more fast track on any of this, remember that there is the online 10-day video series, and you can just click up below or down here wherever you're seeing this. If you're on my page, then it'll be above this. And if you click on that link, if you click through to my page and then click on the link, then that's a free gift to you, and you can go on and find out some more information that would then lead you on to something else that will help you to talk to people in this way, to find out good questions, to find out good ways to post and all of that good stuff.